Boi. Come. Bashalan. In the peace. Atele. Putting crown on. Byler. Her husband. Boi Kailar. Come bride. This is a beautiful Hebrew wedding song, as if the angels in heaven are calling for the bride who has been waiting for 6,000 years to stand up bravely and put on the crown of glory for the coming King of Heaven.
大家好，欢迎来到以诺谈天节目。今天我们继续谈雅各的故事，第18部分。大卫之心奥秘深，雅各梯子谁能明？转辇颠簸奔神殿，谁知世间图恶名？雅各一生何其悲，谁能知晓其中乐？大卫约瑟合手时，天上喜迎兹拉归。上几回书我们讲到，两足在利百加的肚子里。我们还细谈了雅各与以扫名字的意义。雅各用红豆汤骗到了长子名分，雅各骗祝福，这两个骗都是双引号，指地上人的眼光。我们谈了雅各双婚，姐妹争风吃醋；雅各诡计聚钱财，拉班贪心失改心；拉结显遭神像祸，拉班穷追雅各家；以扫怒气灭雅各，天使拦阻震虎威。是渐强艰辛爱人，恶中加恶被灭绝。雅各怒吼震群王，100人对阵几十万。约瑟失落满泪流，雅各绝望变石头。约瑟为王震四方，雅各临行喜团圆。雅各诉苦减岁月，祝福约瑟奥秘深。雅各赐福12子，送葬痛哭全埃及。好，我们下面就从头谈起。
Hello everyone, welcome to Enoch Talk Show. Today we continue the story of Jacob, part 18. The mystery of the Star of David is deep. Who can understand Jacob's ladder? Churningly and bumpingly run to the God's temple, who knew that Jacob's family got bad name. How tough and sad was Jacob's whole life? Who could see the joy in it? When David and Joseph join together, the heaven will welcome the sons of Zila. In the last few parts we talked about the two nations are in the belly of Rebekah. We also went into detail about the meaning of the names Jacob and Esau. Jacob deceived the birthright with red bean soup. Jacob cheated the blessing. These two cheats are double quotation marks, referring to the eyes of people on earth. We talked about Jacob's double marriage and sister's jealousy. Jacob's scheme and Laban's 10 times altered Jacob's wages. Rachel nearly died from the idol Laban chased after Jacob's family to kill them. Esau was so angry to come to kill Jacob, and the angel stopped this mighty tiger. Shechem raped his beloved, and was destroyed by his own evil. Jacob's roar shook the kings, 100 against hundreds of thousands. Joseph was lost, Jacob was in tears and turned to stone in despair. Joseph shook the four corners in the kingdom. Jacob waked up and reunited with Joseph. Jacob complained that the years were shortened, and blessed Joseph with deep mysteries. Jacob blessed his 12 sons and Esau was beheaded before the entrance of the cave. Okay, let's talk about it from beginning.
起初上帝造了天与地，当然不是这样上下排列的，却是这样的意思。天在上，地在下，这是跳出天地的，上帝与天使眼睛里的，而我们人眼里的是天包裹着地，这样我们就知道大卫之星的奥秘。
In the beginning God created. the heaven and the earth. Of course it's not like this. It means heaven is above. Earth is below. This is what see. From the heaven, in the eyes of God and angels, and in our eyes. The heaven wraps the earth. So we know the mystery of the Star of David.
也是上帝修复断腿之后的链接，不再是手拉手的基督伯，而是铁三角。父神与以撒夫妇在上，在天；圣子耶稣与亚伯拉罕在下，在地。基督徒看见的异象，白发威严的老者，基督徒以为是耶稣；以色列人看见白发老者，以为是亚伯拉罕。其实他们看见的，就是以诺看见的，岁月之手，耶稣与亚伯拉罕的合一体。他们既能分，又能完全合一。当然，以诺既看见幼子耶稣，又看见耶稣成就之后的威严白发的样式。这将是为什么耶稣惊讶那些挑战他的人。亚伯拉罕与我熟悉到家了，他很尊重我，可你们是谁？号称认识亚伯拉罕，实际上是地上的，根本不知道天上的事，更不认识亚伯拉罕。而中间的实体将是雅各，就是以色列。天上的铁三角实体是摩西，管理者，人事管理；亚伦，祭司，管理与神的关系；大卫，君王加统帅，负责日常运行。这是正职，都是由亚伯拉罕家担任。地上的铁三角实体是以诺，管理者，人事管理；以利亚，祭司，管理与神的关系；约瑟，君王加统帅，负责日常运行。
It is also the link after God repairs the broken leg, no longer like two cherubim, face to face and hand to hand, but in the form of the iron triangle. God the Father with Isaac are above, in heaven. The Son of Jesus and Abraham are below, on the ground. In their vision Christians saw the majestic old man with white hair, and they thought him as Jesus. When the Israelites saw the old man with white hair in their vision, they thought him as Abraham. In fact, what they saw was as what Enoch saw, the head of days in the book of Enoch, the united oneness of Jesus and Abraham both divided and fully merged. Of course, Enoch saw Jesus in both forms of the young kid and the majestic gray-haired after Jesus had accomplished his task on the earth. That was why Jesus was so surprised, those who challenged him about his knowing of Abraham. Jesus had been so familiar with Abraham, and Abraham respected Jesus so much, but who would be those people? They claimed to know Abraham and as his descendants on the earth, and they didn't know anything about the heaven. They were not from the heaven, so knew almost nothing about Abraham. And the entity in the middle, i.e., two triangles, will be Jacob, which is the nation of Israel, Jacob's ladder. The iron triangle entities in the heaven are Moses, manager, personnel management; Aaron, priest, managing the relationship with God; David, king and commander, responsible for daily operations. These are the official positions, and all held by the Abraham family. The iron triangle entities on the earth are Enoch, manager, personnel management; Elijah, priest, managing the relationship with God; Joseph, king and commander, responsible for daily operations.
以诺与摩西也是双三角关系，大卫与约瑟也是。实际上，大卫的名字就是 David。
Vav, Dalet.
希伯来字母 Dalet， 古字母象形，代表门。英文的 D 也像门。Wall 在古代是箫， 指连接、固定，现代是钉子样式，所以大卫名字的意思就是紧紧拴住两扇门，亚当家与亚伯拉罕家。大卫之星也是这意思。
Enoch and Moses also had a double triangle relationship. So did David and Joseph. Actually, David's name is David.
דוד, דרת, דלת ו, דלת, דרת.
Hebrew letter, Dalet. The ancient alphabet pictograph represents the door. D in English also like a door. Vav is a pin. In ancient times, referring to connection and fixation. Modern is nail style. So the name David means tighten the two doors tightly. Adam's house and Abraham's house. The same is true for the Star of David.
这下子我们应该明白，亚当家如果不犯罪，他们根本用不着来地上，在伊甸园中两家彼此相认，最终就合一了。可当亚当家坠入罪中，亚伯拉罕带领全家进入罪中来救亚当家的罪人，他们自愿带着上帝的光妥拉来黑暗中寻求亚当家的那群脚后跟，也就是上帝告诉他们的亚当家的雅各在女人身上的滋拉们，他们就来了。经过亚伯拉罕、以撒、雅各这三代人的努力，雅各梯子的雏形就出来了。接下来，雅各自告奋勇地把多福，把先喝耶稣教导的生命活水交给亚当家，自己家甘愿单足，甘愿后知道这活水，直到约瑟为代表的小脚后跟出现，再次救雅各家脱离这罪的大黑暗。我们必须清清楚楚地明白，不是我们比以色列人聪明能干，而是雅各选择了这个结局，也就是说，雅各选择了这个蒙在以色列家脸上的帕子。其实，当以色列人来到这罪的世界，亚当的世界，本来他们根本不需要来，因为他们并没有犯罪，而是亚当加落入罪中。其次，为了公平起见，上帝允许撒旦在以色列家中布局，4:1，四个不是真以色列人对一个真以色列人，所以难度急剧加大。再者，当以色列人来最终救亚当家的滋拉们，他们自己得学会不犯罪，要不然亚当家没救起，他们也搭进去。所以整个旧约时代，上帝都记录了训练以色列人的整个过程，直到他们成熟了，耶稣来宣告麦子成熟了，才开始对亚当家得人如得鱼的拯救。耶稣的确是以色列人杀的，却是高高在权位上没有成熟的4/5加以色列人杀的，所以上帝不会因为亚当家的罪而惩罚真以色列人。再者，真以色列人是自告奋勇来救亚当家的，所以上帝有义务训练他们，最终一个都不失落。上帝也有能力保证他们一个都不失落。只是在过程中，他们也会犯罪，只要他们最终登上方舟，在方舟中成为一块石头，就是无罪的。最重要的是，在方舟中进行灵里的割礼，最终大家成为一个肩膀，雅各的肩膀才会不再犯罪。不是一双肩膀，雅各一个，亚当一个，而是一只肩膀。更不是肩膀靠肩膀，这些当我们讲完挪亚故事才会明白细节。你还会因为以色列人不可爱而摒弃他们吗？他们是为救我们而跳进亚当的罪中，最终因为雅各的选择， 而向迷失方向，就要沉下去了。而我们也因为雅各的选择而苏醒过来。你是丢下以色列人直奔耶稣吗？还是为救以色列人而献身？前者，上帝让魔鬼撒旦扮演了比耶稣还美好的假耶稣，最终从彩虹桥上跌落地狱；后者，上帝将让苏醒后以色列人像保护妻子那样保护我们，最终带我们进天堂。
Now we should understand that if the Adam family had not sinned, they would not have had to come to earth at all. In the Garden of Eden, the two families united each other and eventually became one, the latter to connect earth and heaven. But when Adam's family fell into sin, Abraham led the whole family into the sin world to save the sinners of Adam's family. They voluntarily brought God's light, the Torah, to seek the heel of Adam's family in the darkness here, which God told them the heel will be Jacob in Adam's family, i.e., the zila, God hide in the body of Eve. Through the efforts of 3 generations of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the prototype of Jacob's ladder had been completed. Next step, Jacob volunteered to give blessing of many nations and knowing the living water of life taught by Jesus to Adam's family. His family was willing to be in a single nation, and they will know the living water, until the little heel represented by Joseph will appear and rescue Jacob's family once again in the doomsday. Every true Israelite family will be saved from this great darkness of doomsday during the tribulation time. So, we must clearly understand that it is not that we are smarter and more capable than the Israelites, but Jacob chose this ending, which means that Jacob chose the veil placed on the face of the house of Israel. In fact, when the Israelites came to this world of sin, Adam's world, which they didn't need to come at all in the first place, because they didn't sin, but it was Adam's family who fell into sin. Secondly, for the sake of fairness, God allowed Satan to plant its own seeds in the house of Israel, for seeds from Adam family to one from true Israelite, so it increased dramatically the difficulty to figure out who is who. Furthermore, when the Israelites came to rescue the zila of Adam's family from sin, they had to learn not to sin first. Otherwise, they would be drowned in the sin and not able to save Adam's family. So, throughout the time of the Old Testament, God recorded the entire process of training the Israelites not to sin. It was not until they were ripe that Jesus came to declare the wheat is ripe, and then the heaven began to save Adam's family like fishing fish. Jesus was indeed killed by the Israelites, but these killers were in high positions, and not the true Israelites, rather, from the Adam family, who did the killing, so God would have no reason to punish the true Israelites for the sins of the Adam family. Furthermore, the true Israelites volunteered to come to save Adam's family, so God has the obligation to train them and make sure that none of them will be lost in the end, and God has the capability to ensure that. It's just that in the process, they may also sin, and as long as they end up on the doomsday ark and become a shoulder in the ark, they will be free of sin and be saved. The most important thing is that the circumcision in the Spirit will be carried out in the doomsday ark, and finally everyone becomes one shoulder, the shoulder of Jacob, and will no longer sin anymore. It will not be a pair of shoulders, one for Jacob, one for Adam, but one shoulder, the only one of Jacob. It will not be shoulder by shoulder as translated in most of scriptures. These details will be discussed when we tell the story of Noah. Would you still reject the Israelites because they were unlovable? They jumped into the sin world of Adam to save us, and finally, because of Jacob's choice, they lost their way and looked like sinking, and we also woke up because of Jacob's choice. Are you going to leave Israelite to sink, and go straight to Jesus? Choice 1, or to give up your life to save the Israelites? Choice 2. To those who have chosen the former case, God has made Satan the devil to play the role of a fake Jesus, who was looking better than true Jesus in those people's eyes, and finally they will fall from the rainbow bridge to the hell. To those who select the latter one, God will let the awakened Israelites protect us like protecting their wives, and eventually take us back to the heaven.
这里我们要谈一个对雅各家杀伤力极大的，却是因为被特意的误翻译的地方。创37章2节，上帝特别告诉我们，约瑟与使女生的儿子常在一起，把他们的恶行报告给父亲。可翻译中常把使女忽略掉，强调把哥哥们的恶行报告给父亲。说书人常喜欢渲染情绪，这样大家就顺理成章的能理解为什么哥哥们卖了约瑟。可上帝的经文是加不得半点情绪的，这样的翻译一下子就在人脑海中留下两个陷阱。其一，上帝并没有把雅各家一切的错都明明白白地交代清楚，所以上帝对雅各家也有隐瞒。其实非利亚生的是亚当家的，雅各对利亚生的每一个儿子的错都深究，最终被我们深深的误解，因为我们对不了解的都会往坏里想。其二，使女的孩子与利亚的孩子没有区别，都是约瑟的哥哥们，都有恶行，约瑟都报告过他们的恶行。对我们外邦人而言，并没有太多机会去接触犹太人。对欧洲人，就算有机会，也会因为部分犹太人的行为而误解他们全部。这里实际上就是父神借这句话来告诉我们，不要因为使女生的亚当家的有恶行，就浅薄地认为利亚生的也如此。上帝要是不把利亚家的每一个错都明明白白地写在妥拉上，撒旦就有攻击的把柄。可同时，上帝若把使女生的孩子们做的恶事也写上，又违反了上帝对亚当家的恶事只字不提，就算大恶，也只是群体描述一下。对该隐杀亚伯，只提了亚当家杀亚伯拉罕家这一件事，并且提到一个原因。以色列拉比解经提到，该隐真正的原因可能是因为亚当家亚伯的妻子比自己的妻子更漂亮，也就是二女儿拉结比姐姐更漂亮，这才是真正的动机。因为对一个不尊重上帝的人来说，上帝对他的态度，他常常选择忽略。由此可见，这本该是我们区分利亚的孩子与其他孩子的好证据，却因为稀里糊涂的一句把哥哥们的恶行都报告给雅各，结果把利亚的孩子们也都卷了进来。当然，因为哥哥们卖了约瑟这一件事，就足以定所有哥哥们的罪，所以这点糊涂也就可以忽略了。可当我们讲约瑟的故事时，就会从口传妥拉里知道真正的细节。
Here we want to talk about a place that was extremely damaging to the reputation of the true Jacob family, but was often deliberately mistranslated. Genesis 37 verse 2, God specifically told us that Joseph was always with the sons of the maidens, not Leah's 6 sons, bringing report their evil deeds to his father. But in translation, the maid is often ignored, and the emphasis is on reporting the evil deeds of all old brothers to the father. Storytellers like to add up their emotions so that everyone can understand why these brothers sold Joseph. But God's scriptures cannot be emotionally charged. Any translation in such a way leaves two traps in people's minds at once. Firstly, God did not record all the faults of the Jacob family clearly, so God also concealed some wrongdoing from the true Jacob family. In fact, the sons of maidens were from the family of Adam. Sons from Leah are true Jacob, digging deeply into every fault they had. It is often we fill in our unknown with much worse possible scenarios, and this ultimately mislead us to have wrong impression about the true Jacob's family. Secondly, Maidan's sons were no different from Leah's ones. They were all Joseph's brothers, and all had evil deeds, and Joseph had reported their evil deeds. For us Gentiles, there are not many opportunities to reach out to the Jews. The Europeans, even if they had the chance, would misunderstand all of them because of the behavior of some of the Jews, actual Adam family, 4-1. Here, in fact, God the Father uses these specific words to tell us, don't superficially judge the true Jacob, sons of Leah, because of the evil deeds of the Adam's family. If God hadn't recorded every fault of the true Jacob and written clearly on the Torah, Satan would have already attacked. At the same time, if God also wrote down the evil things that sons from maidens did, it would have violated the rule that God did not record almost all evil things did in Adam's family, and Torah did not mention these at all, even many great evils, only described vaguely in the whole group level. When Cain killed Abel, Torah only mentioned the fact that Cain, from family of Adam, killed Abel, from family of Abraham, and mentioned just one superficial reason, gift. The Israeli rabbi commented that the real reason for Cain may be that the wife of Abel was more beautiful than his own wife, that is, the second daughter Rachel is more beautiful than her elder sister Leah. This could be the real motive, because for a person who does not respect God, he often chooses to ignore God's attitude towards him. We can see from a good piece of evidence for us to distinguish sons from Leah from others, but totally lost because of this confused sentence, and we translated it as the evil deeds of all sons of Jacob. Of course, because the fact that all elder brothers involved in selling Joseph, this was enough to condemn all the elder brothers, so this confusion was often ignored by us. But when we tell the story of Joseph, we will know the details from the oral Torah.
正是因为有口传妥拉的细节，以色列人读经文就不会陷入妥拉中描述以色列人从亚伯拉罕开始都有不足，甚至很多隐瞒的恶，而亚当家除了笼统的大恶之外，每一个人并没有细节的恶，最终大家都认为以扫比雅各光明磊落多了，上帝是为了彰显耶稣救恶棍的救恩才救的骗子雅各。这种潜意识才是几十页拉结的后代失落的真正原因。保罗与圣母的记录，最终加重了这种潜意识，也是撒旦布局的中心。上帝实际上就是要把一切不愿意接近以色列家的人都陷入撒旦的网罗中。那些拿着新约想洗脑以色列人的，最终却被排斥在外，因为他们的那些辩解，人家连理都不理睬，直接告诉你，保罗的那套就是没有眼睛的救主。就算是犹太人居住在基督徒的村庄里，他们也不像基督徒那样热心传道，因为他们明白，尊重人是爱的第一要素，而且宝贝是不应该对一个不了解的人去说的。这也是耶稣教育门徒的。强迫性的传道是保罗教的极大特点，特别是政教合一时期，最终就跑出一个千年大黑暗，也是对犹太人的千年大迫害。就算是末日，以色列家，也就是利亚孩子的六族，将两个地去世界各个角落，把希伯来的妥拉传遍全地，他们也不会强迫别人，只是讲给想知道的亚当家的，更不会用希伯来语以外的任何言语，单单在圣洁的语言下传上帝的妥拉经文，这才是耶稣说的，当经文传遍地极，他就会再来。上帝在过去几千年里，借着读保罗书信的信徒与读半本创世纪的伊斯兰教，把亚伯拉罕的事闹得全世界都知道，这却只是铺路而已，也就是类似以利亚的铺路。 最终，以色列人明白上帝让魔鬼做工的目的。
It is precisely because of the details of the oral Torah that the Israelites would not fall into these traps in the Torah when they read the scriptures. From Abraham onwards, God recorded every shortcomings, and even many concealed evils from the family of Abraham. But for the family of Adam, never recorded details of evil actions to an individual, very often just vague action to the whole group. In the end, every reader thought that Esau was much more upright than Jacob, and that God saved Jacob the liar to demonstrate the salvation of Jesus to save the villain. This subconsciousness is the real reason for the loss of billions of Rachel's descendants. The record of Paul and the Virgin Mother finally aggravated this subconsciousness, and these have been also the center of Satan's plot. In fact, God plans to put all those who are unwilling to approach the house of Israel into Satan's traps. Those who believed in the New Testament and wanted to brainwash the Israelites were ultimately excluded because their arguments were ignored by the Israelites and directly told them that Paul's teaching was a savior without eyes. Even if Jews live in Christian villages, they are not as zealous in preaching as Christians, because they understand that respect for others is the first element and the foundation for love, and any precious gem should not be revealed to any person who does not appreciate it. This was also what Jesus told his disciples. Preaching by forcing has been a great feature of Paul's doctrine, especially during the period of the unity of politics and religion, which eventually led to 1,000-year darkness and 1,000-year persecution of the Jews. Even in the doomsday, the house of Israel, the 6 tribes from Leah, will go 2 by 2 to every corner of the world, and preaching the Hebrew Torah throughout the world, they will not use force on others, but only tell to the family of Adam who wants to know, and they will not use any language other than Hebrew, but only preach God's Torah scriptures in the holy language. This was exactly what Jesus said. When scriptures have been spread to the every corners of the earth, he will come again, the second coming. In the past few thousand years, God had made the story of Abraham known to the whole world through the believers who read either Paul's teaching or Islam who read half of Genesis, but these have been just to pave the way for doomsday, which is similar to Elijah, who will be also paving the way for true believer. Eventually, the Israelites understood God's purpose, which is through the work of the devil to pave the way for true believer.
你如果接受上面这些，我们就来看看以扫与但族的结局。上帝创造以扫是有目的的，他杀死了宁录王。如果我们去读但以利看见的异象，我们读一下经文。那时我观看，见那兽因小角说夸大话的声音被杀，身体损坏，扔在火中焚烧。其余的兽权柄都被夺去，生命却仍存留，直到所定的时候和日期。但以理书7章11至12节和合本。很明显，前2句与后2句都是指他看见亚伯拉罕与耶稣的合一体在开启生命册的情况，而这2句是指他看见小角用诅咒的话杀了兽。要知道，兽是撒旦的长子，就是伊甸园引诱亚当的那位，最终成为没手没脚的兽。那就说明是雅各小肉脚杀了兽。那么是以扫还是以扫的后脚跟雅各？实际上是以扫做的，这是要应验以扫杀了地上的王宁录的实体，就是以扫在末世杀了兽。上帝本来是把地赐给亚当家的，亚当长子该隐非常明白，所以他对叫空气的亚伯说：“你要是不脚沾我的地，我今天就不杀你。”亚伯不理他，因为一切都是上帝的。最终该隐就从背后杀了亚伯，埋在土里。 以色列很多拉比相信亚伯最终是摩西，因为他们都是最谦卑的。的确，亚伯称为摩西，该隐称为可拉，最终摩西祷告神，神就把可拉陷入地下，让他也亲自尝尝他加给亚伯的。所以最终上帝会让亚当的长子该隐成为以扫，最终报被骗的仇，杀了兽，这才是受该得的报应。以扫与亚当家的雅各一开始在一起，都在以诺团队里，最后再分离，而但以理却不明白这点，只有在末日才会澄清的。你现在还认为那先跳出母腹的男婴，启示录12章描述的拿着铁棍瞎管万国的是耶稣吗？为什么不能是以扫，亚当家的长子，最终用铁棍打碎万国，在3年半管辖他们？你觉得耶稣拿着铁棍管辖万国1000年是一幅美图吗？大家去思考，因为到时候是没有时间让你去想的，你要立刻做生死决定的，所以就看你自己准备的如何了。
If you accept the above, are paving the way, let's take a look at the ending of Esau and the tribe of Dan. God created Esau with a purpose, he would kill King Nimrod. We can see the vision Daniel from the scriptures. I watched then because of the sound of the pompous words which the horn was speaking, I watched till the beast was slain, and its body destroyed and given to the burning flame. As for the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. Daniel 7 verses 11 to 12 NKJV. Obviously, the first two sentences and the last two refer to the situation in which Daniel saw the union of Abraham and Jesus opening the book of life, and the two sentences refer to the fact that he saw the little horn kill the beast with cursed words. You must know that the beast is the eldest son of Satan, the one who seduced Adam in the Garden of Eden, and eventually became a beast without hands and feet. That means it was Jacob, i.e., the little horn, who killed the beast. So will Esau, or Esau's heel, i.e., Jacob, do this? In fact, what Esau will do is to fulfill the real entity of that Esau killed Nimrod, the king on the earth, that is, Esau killed the beast in the doomsday. God originally gave the earth to Adam's family. Adam's eldest son, Cain, understood this very well, so he said to Abel, whose name means heir, "If you don't touch my land, I will not kill you today." Abel ignored him, because everything belongs to God, and eventually Cain killed Abel from behind and buried him in the ground. Many rabbis in Israel believe that Abel was ultimately Moses because both were the most humble. Indeed, Abel became Moses, Cain became Korah, and finally Moses prayed to God, and God buried Korah alive into the ground and let him taste what he had done to Abel. So in the end, God will let Adam's eldest son Cain become Esau, and finally avenge the deceived and kill the beast. This is the retribution that the beast deserves. Esau and Jacob of Adam's house will first stay together, both in Enoch's team, and finally they will go separated paths. Daniel didn't understand this plan, and this will only be clarified at the doomsday. Do you still think that the baby boy, who jumped out of his mother's womb first, described in Revelation 12, who will brutally rule over all nations with an iron rod, will be Jesus? Why not Esau, the eldest son of Adam's family, will finally smash the nations with an iron rod and rule over them for 3.5 years? Do you think it is a nice image for Jesus to rule over the nations with an iron rod for 1,000 years? Everyone should think about it, because there will be no time for you to think about it when you have to make a decision of life or death immediately, so all depend on how well you prepare yourself.
我们再来看最后一个问题，那但杀了以扫是咋回事？我们得来看以撒对以扫的祝福。他父亲以撒说：地上的肥土必为你所住，天上的甘露必为你所得，你必靠刀剑度日，又必侍奉你的兄弟，到你强盛的时候，必从你颈项上挣开他的轭。创世纪27章39至40节和合本。从以扫的结局，我们现在明白了，他挣脱了雅各的轭，却立刻头身分开了。原来他死于但族后裔的手上。我们再来看雅各对但的祝福，但必判断他的民，做以色列支派之一。但必做道上的蛇，路中的灰，咬伤马蹄，使骑马的坠落于后。耶和华呀，我向来等候你的救恩。创世纪49章16至18节和合本。蛇与灰都是指撒旦，马蹄是指马的后脚跟，就是雅各后脚跟的意思，也是表明但的行为使得快马加鞭的雅各跌落在地上。联想到下面7个地方：一，我们知道，最终但族是背叛了雅各家，并且使得雅各跌落马下，最终才让雅各全家进入约伯那样的境地，长达180天，也就是半年。二，但族没有出现在启示录中，因为亚当失落了，但是妾生的孩子中的老大最终也失落了。三，但族的确在旧约时代，因为拜假神而失去上帝给他们的地。四，上帝要我们不审判别人，直到上帝指定的审判的时刻。这就像吃禁果那样，时候没到绝不能吃。结果但族要审判，使得雅各家落入危急之中，最终雅各惊呼：耶和华呀，我向来等候你的恩。的确，那时候再次是南方的女王示巴女王救了以色列家，这也是当年所罗门王遭遇示巴女王的实体。没有这位出现，以色列家就难以到达最终的目的地。女人对以色列家来说就是亚当家的，所以是亚当家的王再次去救跌落马的以色列家。我们现在不知道是哪位。五，上帝借但族的叛变，最终杀了以扫，让以扫罪有应得。而杀以扫的那群人，撒旦家的加但族，再加上亚当家在末日厮杀中得胜的，最终都被7块陨石砸入地狱。这就是但以理说的直到所定的时候和日期。六，我们现在明白了，但杀以扫破坏了雅各家与以扫家几十年的和睦，也是后面几十年两家族互相残杀的直接原因。要知道，老雅各花那么大努力，最终让两家和好，最终就毁于但的儿子的这一件上。如果他不做，上帝也会让他死在洞口的，就像击打拉班那样，让他得重病而亡。以扫死在洞口是他的命定，因为末日的以扫死在了黎明前，死在安息的前夕。凡是埋在洞里的，都立刻升天，与上帝同在。撒旦到最后一刻才把这真相告诉以扫，这也预示着，等方舟的门被大卫与约瑟二王关闭，全世界的保罗教徒都会冲向门，想要挤进来。这时候一切都太晚了，信得太迟了。亚伯拉罕这洞的奥秘，我们会在亚伯拉罕的故事里细说。七，我们从上帝让摩西绕开以东，也就是以扫的后代，也应该明白，上帝不喜悦雅各家与以扫家相争，这已经是几百年后的事了。所以但的儿子杀以扫的行为，绝不是上帝喜悦的。现在我们应该明白了，以扫有他的任务，但也有他的任务， 就像撒旦有他的任务一样，最终他们都不能进入安息，都死在2031年的那场大陨石撞击中。全地上除了以色列家被上帝拉出，逃离了地狱，以及被以色列抓住的亚当家的自拉们，他们也逃脱了。这些都记录在妥拉民数记33章的地名里。等我们讲摩西的故事时，会细解析。而其他一切活物都死在地狱的烈火中。所以那些有钱人，他们的避难所在坚固完美，也没救。那些想星际旅游而逃避的，也会坠落而亡。
Let's go to the last question. But what about killing Esau? We have to see Isaac's blessing to Esau. Then Isaac his father answered and said to him, Behold, your dwelling shall be of the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass, when you become restless, that you shall break his yoke from your neck. Genesis 27 verses 39 to 40 NKJV. From the ending of Esau, we now understand that he broke free from Jacob's yoke, but immediately separated his head and body. It turned out that he died at the hands of the descendants of the Dan tribe. Let's look again at Jacob's blessing to Dan. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, a viper by the path, that bites the horse's heels, so that its rider shall fall backward. I have waited for your salvation, O Lord. Genesis 49 verses 16 to 18 NKJV. Both the serpent and the snake refer to Satan, and the horse's hoof refers to the back heel of the horse, which means Jacob, the heel, and also indicates that Dan tribe's action will cause Jacob, who will be galloping with the horse, to fall to the ground. Think of the following 7 aspects. 1. We know that, in the doomsday, the Dan tribe will betray Jacob's family and make Jacob fall off his horse, and finally lead Jacob's family to trap in the situation like what Job experienced. This for us will last for 180 days, that is, half a year, double the duration Job experienced. 2. The Dan family did not appear in the book of Revelation. Because the firstborn Adam was lost, so the eldest son born to maidens will be also lost in the doomsday. 3. The Dan family did indeed lose the land promised to them by God because of their worship of false gods in the Old Testament era. 4. God commands us not to judge others until the time of judgment appointed by God. It's like eating the forbidden fruit, you must not eat it until the time comes. Consequently, Dan tribe will judge Jacob's family, so Jacob will be in danger. In the end, Jacob exclaimed in his blessing, O Lord, I have always waited for your grace. Indeed, at doomsday, it will be the Queen of the South, the Queen of Sheba, who will save the house of Israel. This is also the true entity that King Solomon encountered, the Queen of Sheba. Without this presence, it would be difficult for the house of Israel to reach its final destination. To the house of Israel, the woman, i.e., the queen, represents the family of Adam, and therefore will be the king of the house of Adam, once again come to rescue the house of Israel who fall from the horse. We don't know yet who will be this queen. 5. God will finally kill Esau through the rebellion of the Dan tribe, so that Esau will deserve what he will deserve. And the group who killed Esau, the family of Satan, the Dan tribe, and the family of Adam who will win the battle at the end of the doomsday, will all be smashed into hell by 7 meteorites. This is what Daniel said until the appointed time and day. 6. We understand now, but the killing of Esau destroyed the harmony between the Jacob family and the Esau family for decades, and was also the direct reason for the killing of each other in the following decades. Reconciling the two families will eventually be destroyed by the sword of Dan's son. If he didn't do it, God would still have let Esau die at the mouth of the cave, just as God did with Laban, making him seriously ill and died in a short period of time. It was his destiny that Esau died at the entrance of the cave, because Esau in the doomsday will die right before dawn, on the eve of peaceful millennium. During Abraham time, whoever was buried in that cave immediately ascended to heaven to stay with God. Satan didn't tell Esau the truth until the last moment, which also foreshadowed that when the door of the ark was closed by two kings, David and Joseph, Paulists all over the world would rush to the door and want to squeeze in. At this time, it will be too late to believe. The mystery of the cave of Abraham, we will detail in the story of Abraham. 7. We should also know from Scripture that God let Moses avoid Edom, that is, the descendants of Esau, that God is not pleased with the conflict between Jacob's family and Esau's family. The act of the son of Dan to kill Esau was by no means pleasing to God. Now we should understand that Esau has his mission, just as Dan has his mission, as Satan has his mission, and in the doomsday neither of them can enter the shalom. All will die in the big meteorite impact in 2031. All over the earth, except for the house of Israel, who will be pulled out of hell by God, and the zira of Adam's house, who will be grabbed by Israelites, they will also escape the hell. These are recorded in the 33rd chapter of the book of Numbers in the Torah as the names of stations along the journey of Exodus. When we tell the story of Moses, we will analyze it in detail. All other living creatures will die in the fires of hell. So those rich men, no matter how strong and perfect their shelters will be, these can't save them. Those who want to escape by using the way of interstellar travel will also fall and die.
我们并不要担心，因为最终上帝会把以色列家拉出地狱，这是上帝必须做的。所以，缠绕在以色列线上的笨笨鱼们就成了最聪明的。去读新成语故事的第一与第二个故事。你现在还为这些事纠结吗？很多人认为以色列人有啥好的？他们不是很迷茫、失落吗？所以根本没必要在他们身上花时间，或者扔给他们你认为的耶稣救生圈，爱怎么的就怎么地吧。那最终上帝也会按照你对待以色列的那样对待你。所以当你听完这系列，要是零苏醒，就要去放下一切，去寻求上帝的带领。留给我们的时间真的不多了。谢谢大家收听以诺谈天的第一个系列雅各的故事。接下来会有第二个系列亚伯拉罕的故事，里面有很多细节，比如说宁录是怎么迫害亚伯兰的，亚伯兰在火炉里3日3夜，如同但以理的3个伙伴那样，很多细节让我们更了解亚伯拉罕。我们一个一个的讲其他人，以撒、摩西、约伯，加上我们灵里看见的，希望这些能抛砖引出你这块美玉，大家最终欢聚在伊甸园里。雅各一生真坎坷，母父为出身满伤，让免弟弟难拿回，用片石灌1000年骂。7依然困潦倒，9还是无分文。6年报复经拉班，诡计且才修抵赖。世人哪里知敬虔，妄以圣人为骗子。走到哪里都遭祸，血战6日定乾坤。谁想约瑟被割卖，悲哀伤痛20载。大灾之年大翻转， 深藏祝福梦难求。临终祝福赐全家，谁知其中奥秘深？末日以诺结神杖，天云翻腾的满幅。谁能认出雅各杖？天地奥秘瞬显明。方舟门开谁知晓？万王入座悉开鼓。大卫之心奥秘深，雅各梯子谁能明？转辇颠簸奔神殿，谁知世间污恶名？雅各一生何其悲，谁能知晓其中乐？大卫约瑟合手时，天上喜迎zila归。谢谢大家收听以诺谈天节目，希望大家顺着思绪听，我们下回见。
We don't need to worry, because in the end God will pull the house of Israel out of hell. This is what God must do, so those dumbest fish entangled in Israel's wire become the smartest. Go and read the first and second stories of the new idiom story. Are you still struggling with these things? Many people think, what's so good about Israelites? Are they not very confused and lost? So, there's no need to spend time with them, or throw them what you think of as a Jesus lifebook, just let them do what they like. Then in the end God will treat you the same way you have treated Israelites. So, when you finish listening to this series, if you wake up, you have to let go everything else, but seek God's guidance. There is really not much time left for us. Thank you all for listening to the first series of Enoch Talk Show, The Story of Jacob. Then there will be a second series, The Story of Abraham, which has a lot of details, for example, how Nimrod persecuted Abram. Abram was in the furnace for 3 days and 3 nights, like Daniel's 3 companions. Many details allow us to understand Abraham better. We talk about other people one by one: Isaac, Moses, Job, plus what we see in our spirits. I hope these as introduction which may attract you as a better way to lead us, and in the end we will all finally return to the Garden of Eden. Jacob's life was really rough. Within the womb already full scars. Let Esau have the firstborn right and almost impossible to take it back. Finally Jacob needed to use deceit to pick it up, which will be blamed for thousands of years. At the age of 77, he was still poor. At 99, he was still penniless. Jacob got rich in 6 years, shocked Laban, and Laban blamed him stealing his money. How could the world know godliness, and falsely blame saints as liars? Everywhere Jacob went, disasters were waiting there. And the 6-day bloody battles settled the world in peace. Who could have thought that Joseph was betrayed by his brothers? Brought grief and pain on Jacob for 20 years. The years of famine had turned the world upside down. And great blessings revealed beyond the wildest dream. Final blessings were given to every son who can understand the deep mystery. At the doomsday, Enoch received the divine scepter, and the heaven and the earth will be full of blessings. Who can recognize the rod of Jacob? The mysteries of heaven and earth will be revealed instantly. Who can know when the door of the ark will open? And all kings will enter and the show will start. The mystery of the Star of David is very deep. And who can understand Jacob's ladder? Toss and turn, jolt and bump toward the God's temple. Who could know the world label notoriety on him? So sad was Jacob's whole life. Who has known the joy in it? When David and Joseph will join hands, the heaven will welcome the return of Zira. Thank you all for listening to the Enoch Talk Show. I hope you will listen to it in order. See you next time.